Hi, and welcome to Cenario, your partner in mental wellness. Here on our channel, we share educational, insightful, and science-backed content to help you understand your mental health and take meaningful steps toward a more balanced life. If you're ready to learn, grow, and take control of your wellness journey, let's jump right in.
You know that feeling, right? That deep internal ache that has nothing to do with a cut or a bruise. Emotional pain. It's something every single one of us goes through. But because you can't see it, it can feel incredibly lonely. So today, let's talk about what's really happening inside when that pain feels like it's just too much to handle. I want to start with this because it's probably the most important thing to hear. The suffering you feel inside, it is absolutely real. It's significant. And you know what? It deserves just as much attention as a broken bone. So what is the big difference here? Well, think about it. We treat physical pain differently because we can see it. It's concrete. You can point and say, this is where it hurts. But emotional pain, that's all internal. It's invisible, which makes it so hard to explain to other people, and sometimes even to ourselves. Okay, so let's get a clear definition on the table. We're talking about a deep psychological distress that really hits at our core, our sense of who we are, our safety. And the science here is just fascinating. Brain scans actually show that things like social rejection or deep grief, they light up the exact same parts of the brain that fire up when you have a physical injury. This probably goes way back to our survival instincts. Being connected to our tribe was literally life or death. So when you say heartbreak hurts, you're not just being poetic. Your brain agrees with you. So where does all this pain come from? Well, the triggers are all over the place, from loss and trauma to just chronic stress. But here's the most important thing to remember. This pain is a signal. It is not a weakness. It's your body's and mind's way of saying, hey, something over here needs attention and care. So how does that pain go from being manageable to feeling completely and utterly overwhelming? Let's dive into why it can feel so unbearable. Well, one huge factor is that underlying mental health conditions can act like a giant amplifier. If you're already navigating something like depression or anxiety, your emotional sensitivity is just dialed way up. A tiny setback that someone else might brush off can feel like a world-ending disaster, and that just magnifies the pain until it feels totally out of control. And then, oh boy, there is one of the most draining cycles you can get stuck in, the sleep pain cycle. It goes like this. Your emotional distress keeps you staring at the ceiling all night. Then, that lack of sleep tanks your ability to manage your emotions the next day, which of course makes the emotional pain even worse. And on it goes, leaving you completely exhausted. You know, sometimes our own minds can trap us in these painful loops. The first pattern is called catastrophizing. This is when your brain just automatically leaps to the absolute worst-case scenario. A small mistake at work doesn't just feel bad, it instantly becomes, that's it, I'm getting fired. It's a thought pattern that just pours gasoline on anxiety. Next up, we've got black and white thinking. This is where there's just no gray area, no middle ground. A project is either a total success or it's a complete failure. A person is either perfect or they're awful. Living in that world of extremes, it creates a really unstable and unforgiving reality for yourself. And finally, there's personalizing. This is when you automatically take the blame for things that have nothing to do with you. Your friend seems a little quiet, and your first thought is, what did I do wrong? This pattern is a direct pipeline to feeling shame, guilt, and like you're just not good enough. And please remember, this is not all in your head. Unresolved emotional pain physically shows up in your body, as those chronic headaches, the stomach issues that won't go away, or that constant heavy tightness in your chest. The mind and body are not separate. They are deeply connected. Okay, so with all of this going on, how in the world do you recognize when you've hit a breaking point? Let's talk about the signs to look out for. These are some of the big ones. It's not just feeling down, it's an intense sadness that just doesn't lift. It's pulling away from the people you care about, feeling numb to everything, or finding it impossible to focus. And I have to be really clear about this. If you ever have thoughts of harming yourself, that is an urgent signal to reach out for help immediately. This message is so essential. Seeing the signs is the first step, but the very next step is realizing you do not have to carry all of this by yourself. Getting professional help isn't a sign of failure. It's a powerful and necessary tool for healing. All right, we've talked about the problem, we've identified it. Now for the hopeful part. Let's start building a toolkit. Let's look at some real, practical strategies you can actually use to cope. So, one fantastic science-backed tool is cognitive behavioral therapy, or CBT. Think of it as becoming a detective for your own thoughts. You work with a therapist to spot those automatic negative patterns we just talked about. It's all about learning to hit pause, to question a thought, like, I'm a total failure, and then find the evidence for a more balanced, realistic view. Like, okay, this was hard, but I've handled hard things before. It's a skill that builds true emotional resilience over time. You know, sometimes the simplest advice is the most powerful. Get up and move your body. And we're not talking about running a marathon here. Even just a 15-minute walk can totally change your brain chemistry by releasing endorphins, which are basically your brain's natural mood boosters. It's an amazing way to physically interrupt the stress cycle. When your mind is just spiraling out of control, you need an anchor. Here's a super simple grounding technique you can try literally anywhere. Just look around and name 5 things you can see. Then, notice 4 things you can feel or touch. Listen for 3 things you can hear. Find 2 things you can smell. And finally, name 1 thing you can taste. This little exercise yanks you out of the storm in your head and plants you firmly in the present moment. Isolation is like fuel for emotional pain, which makes connection the ultimate lifeline. Reaching out, even if it's just sending a text to a friend, reminds you that you are not the only one feeling this way. Just being seen and heard by someone who cares can be incredibly healing. And hey, if you can't find the words, try a different language. Creativity can be such a powerful outlet. Journaling, sketching, playing an instrument, it's not about being good at it. It's about giving your emotions a safe place to go without having to justify them. It's about letting them out. Okay, so now we have some tools in our toolkit. Let's zoom out and look at the bigger picture, your journey toward long-term healing. Real lasting healing isn't about just one thing. It's built on a few key pillars. It means working with a professional to really understand the roots of the pain. It's about intentionally building your resilience through self-care. It's learning how to calm your own nervous system with things like deep breathing. And maybe most importantly, it's about practicing self-compassion, learning to accept your emotions without judging yourself for having them in the first place. If you take away only one thing today, please let it be this. Healing is a journey. It is not a switch you can just flip. Feeling this kind of pain does not mean you are weak or broken. It means you're human, and it is a very clear signal that you deserve care, compassion, and support. So I'll just leave you with this one question to think about. It doesn't have to be some huge, life-altering change. It can be tiny. It can be gentle. What is one small step you can take toward your own healing starting right now?
Thank you for watching Cenario. If this video helped you, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. For personalized mental wellness supplements, visit Cenario.com. See you in the next one.